Wewe sasa nakwambia tutaonana mimi na wewe ana kwa ana.
Mama yangu alafu nikalipishe na mkate au sio?
You requested and the KBC has decided to deliver. What do I say?
Twaja na kuambiaje, kila mtaa utatuona. Hebu kosa uchekwe.
Uchaguzi mkuu wa tarehe 9 Agosti utabadilisha pakubwa taswira ya kisiasa ya taifa hili. Je, hii inamaanisha nini kwako wewe mpiga kura? Kila Jumapili saa 12 jioni, jiunge nao Gladys Mungai na Harith Salim kwenye makala yetu ya Kenya ya Amua, ambapo pamoja na wadau mbalimbali watajadili na kudadavua kwa kina michakato ya uchaguzi. Fanya uamuzi wa busara. Usikose kutazama Kenya ya Amua kila Jumapili kwenye runinga uipendayo ya KBC Channel 1.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Good afternoon. Our apologies for bringing you a delay
Savo
on
National
this live broadcast. You're just in time for the lunchtime news. It is the 20th day in the month of May 2022. Section of leaders both from the Kenya Kwanza and Azimio la Umoja are in central Kenya hunting for votes ahead of the August 9th general election. And KBC Channel 1 is this afternoon touring the city, interacting with this audience and also appreciating you for keeping it KBC Channel 1. My name is Irene Muchuma Odim. On sign language interpretation this afternoon, we have Lucy Mwaura. The country has lost close to 80 elephants in the last few months owing to the effects of the ongoing drought. The Ministry of Wildlife and Tourism has attributed the deaths to climate change that has seen prolonged droughts and floods. The deaths of the elephants negatively impacts the state of wildlife and tourism in the country.
National Park recorded the death of at least 78 elephants due to the harsh weather conditions being witnessed in the country. The Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife, through its Principal Secretary, Zainab Hussein, has said that the government is working to put in place measures to mitigate the effects of prolonged drought that has caused the death of wildlife.
This year we are trying to inculcate some mitigation efforts by digging water ponds across our national parks. So we are seeing more drought stressing our wildlife.
She also said that the ministry is keen on planting trees in national parks and game reserves with the aim of achieving the national 10% forest cover target.
So last year we did 15,000 seedlings across Savo East, Amboseli and Kamnarok. And this year we are targeting to plant 20,000 seedlings, 10,000 here and another 10,000 in the Abadeas.
The Director of Wildlife Research and Training Institute, Dr. Patrick Omondi, noted that they had partnered with the organizers of the upcoming World Rally Championship to plant 19 million trees across the country.
Tree planting that has been commissioned by the Principal Secretary will help to restore as we remove the invasives. We have a program to get rid of it in the entire sanctuary so that we can improve the ecological integrity of the habitat.
The two spoke during a tree planting exercise at the Wildlife Research and Training Institute in Naivasha. For Lunchtime News, I'm Jerotich Kiprono.
Leaders in Kajiado County are expressing fears that the ongoing drought situation risks creating conflict between pastoralists in the region. The leaders say the scarcity of water and overstretched pasture is already causing friction between farmers. They are now calling on the national government to intervene.
As drought continues to bite in parts of Kajiado County, leaders want livestock to be allowed to graze inside the parks.
Musipike watu kwa sababu watu hawa hawajakuja huko kwa nia mbaya, ni mifugo zao zinaumia na ni wao ndio kesho watakuja kuwatungia nyinyi wanyama.
Governor Joseph Ole Lenku says overstretched pasture is a recipe for conflict between communities.
KWS kuwe na macho ya huruma na watu wetu wanapoenda kutafuta lishe za ng'ombe zao.
Kajiado County is part of semi-arid lands currently experiencing drought. Residents are urging the government to scale up drought response in the region to save their livestock. So far reporting for Lunchtime News.
Well, we are now crossing over to Westlands in the county of Nairobi. This as the country has 80 days to the next general election. My colleague Safin Acheng Ouma is pitching camp in that part of the city to give us latest updates in regards to preparation ahead of the August general election. Safin, good afternoon.
A very good afternoon to you. Irene, Muchuma, they are back in studio. Of course, indeed, we are coming to you live from Westlands area, right here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, just standing next to Sankara Hotel. This is the place where the International Republican Institute and the National Democratic Institute have just released their latest report on a pre-election assessment mission that they conducted in the country recently as part of their overall observation of the 2022 general election. And they began on an optimistic note, just painting quite a number of positive efforts that the country has put in place in ensuring a more transparent and accountable general election. And of course, this includes the fact that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has put in place efforts to build trust and assert its independence ahead of the election. Also noting that there has been improvement in the political party nomination processes compared to the 2017 general election. Of course, they've noted quite a few complaints here and there that arose after the nomination processes and went ahead to put forward recommendations on how future nomination processes can be improved. But of course, another key thing that stood out as a plus for the country is the nomination of a female vice presidential candidate as one of the things that also they said is a good step. And of course, also talking about increased stakeholder engagement also as something that is a plus. But even amidst this positive report by the observers, they say that there are certain things that the country still needs to work on if we are to have a peaceful and a more transparent general election. For instance, they've called upon the political parties, the political party candidates and independent candidates to commit to observe peace before, during and after elections. And also they've talked about, the IEBC to do what they call piloting the KIMS system to be able to identify some of the gaps that are there and offer alternatives beforehand ahead of the 2022 general election. So we'll be giving our viewers more details about this report and the recommendations they gave each stakeholder who is important in this process, including IEBC, the civil society, political parties, security agencies, and even the media in our subsequent news bulletins. But this is just first part of it. They are planning to conduct a second assessment, in the coming 5 weeks, and they'll be giving another report on how the situation is like ahead of the 2022 general election. But for now, that is all we have for you, Irene. It's now back to you in studio. My name is Safina Acheng Ouma from Westlands, Nairobi.
Thank you, Safin. Good to have you. Be sure to catch up with Safina Acheng Ouma in our subsequent bulletins for more details ahead of the August 9th general election. Now, the Machakos County Assembly Deputy Clerk Joseph Mutisia has been elevated to full clerk status following the retirement of Felix Mbiuki. The appointment process that was sanctioned by the County Assembly Service Board under the leadership of the Speaker, Florence Mwangangi, so Mutisia subjected to an interview alongside other applicants. Mutisia has promised to take up the mantle of the clerk wholeheartedly and deliver accordingly.
Exercise my duties as the clerk of County Assembly and also the functions that have been assigned by the board of Machakos. I'm determined and ensure that I'll do my best.
We are not worried as a board as to the ability of Mr. Mutisia to discharge the function of the clerk of the assembly. And we are sure that the members of the assembly and the staff of the assembly will equally support him. And then we believe that he's going to reciprocate by serving well.
Political Parties Dispute Tribunal has annulled Jubilee Party's nomination certificate for Naivasha parliamentary seat issued to Ndegwa Nguthiru. According to lawyer Njoroge Ngigi, who filed the petition, Naivasha residents were never given a chance to exercise their democratic rights since the candidate was issued a direct ticket. Elsewhere, ODM's gubernatorial candidate in Busia County, Paul Otuoma, has challenged political leaders from the county allied to Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party to front one of their own who will champion for the interests of Busia County in the formation of the next government.
The move by Jubilee Party to issue direct tickets to candidates has returned to haunt it after the political party's dispute tribunal annulled the nomination certificate for Naivasha parliamentary seat. The tribunal has ordered for a repeat exercise in the vast constituency in the next 2 weeks, noting no nominations were done. Lawyer Njoroge Ngigi, who filed the petition, is also seeking the parliamentary seat.
And that's why when most of my competitors resigned and decided to go independent, I decided to stay within the party, and I decided to seek justice within the party.
Elsewhere, Migori gubernatorial hopeful Ochilo Ayako has pledged to fight corruption in the county government if elected in the coming elections. Senator Ayako, while unveiling his deputy Joseph Mahiri, hit at the outgoing governor Okoth Obado, claiming money was being lost.
Hatutakuwa na nafasi ya ufisadi hapa Migori County, na ni aibu sana mmoja wetu ambayo serikali yake imekuwa na inzi za ufisadi kila wakati, yeye anataka kuteua wengine.
Meanwhile, Governor Obado's wife Helen Adhiambo has joined the race for woman representative position.
I just want to ask the people of Migori County to look for me as Helen and trust me with their votes so that I can go work for them as the third women representative in Migori County.
In the neighboring Busia County, ODM gubernatorial candidate Paul Otuoma has challenged leaders from the region to be proactive in championing for region's interests in the formation of Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition government.
Lakini mkiangalia, si Oparanya ameenda kwa treasury, si Marende ameenda kwa senate, si huko kwingine wakina Eugene Wamalo wako, na Busia tuko wapi hapo?
Elsewhere in Kilifi County, supporters of Governor Amason Kingi insist Pamoja African Alliance Party must field candidates in the August elections despite joining Kenya Kwanza Alliance. Addressing media at Market Village in Malindi, the Kilifi residents dismissed remarks by Malindi Town MP Aisha Jumwa that only UDA party would field candidates under Kenya Kwanza Alliance.
Na tuko tayari kumfanyia kampeni ya urais William Samoei Ruto awe rais wa 5 wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Lakini Mheshimiwa Aisha Jumwa, chenye unakifanya, tunataka tukwambie ya kwamba hatutakubali wewe kama kiongozi usimame mbele ya wananchi na uanze kumtukana party leader wetu. Hiyo hatutakubali.
Ishoke Washira, Lunchtime News.
Religious and civil society groups in Isilo County have formed a joint command center to coordinate response to election-related conflict. The group is seeking to work with security personnel in the area to ensure peace prevails among pastoral communities living in the region, as well as curb insecurity cases during the electioneering period.
According to stakeholders, the formation of the Joint Command Center is a countermeasure to alleged balkanization of the region by the political class.
Tukishikana Isilo yetu licha ya kuwa katika hotspot ya kitaifa, tunaamini ya kwamba juhudi hii itachangia kuleta amani wakati wa uchaguzi na baada ya uchaguzi.
This is where we are going to have officers manning this desk to ensure that reporting emanating from the community are well received, documented, and appropriate action or response taken against them.
The region is said to have in the past few years witnessed frequent conflicts among communities due to cattle rustling and scarce resources. Isiolo County Police Commander Hassan Barua, who led a joint meeting at the facility, indicated that cases of gender-based violence will be closely monitored. Barua, however, urged the stakeholders and members of the public to relay information to senior officers for effective response.
Information unapeana kwa station commander ama kwa inspector yoyote ya polisi. Ninakuambia ya kwamba ukipeana information kwa hiyo watu, hiyo information haiwezi leak hata kidogo. Kwa sababu ni watu wamefunzwa jinsi ya kuweka siri.
And in Kisii, the Interreligious Council has warned politicians against using inflammatory utterances during campaigns as the country gears towards elections.
Tunawaomba wakati wa kutafuta kura zenu, tafadhali msipatie vijana wetu, msipatie wazee wetu vileo kana kwamba hawana mwelekeo. Wamama tumebeba watoto wetu na tunajua uchungu wa kumpoteza mtoto.
Usiwe ndugu yangu au dada yangu, uwe unaleta uhasama kati ya watu kwa sababu juu ya kutafuta uongozi, sababu kama umeshaandikwa na Allah utakuwa ni mwenye kupata.
Similar sentiments have been made by various clerics across the country, saying the government must facilitate a seamless transition of governments for the well-being of Kenyans.
We just came from a difficult period of COVID where the economy was completely shattered, and we would not want chaos again to come and affect our economy. So we would want to wish all the politicians and people contesting to do it in a peaceful manner.
At the same time, the religious leaders want the government to adopt quick interventions in dealing with the harsh economic times. Kamchemenza for Lunchtime News.
All right, let's cross over to business news. Kenya's electric car market continues to grow, with the number of electric vehicles expected to more than triple in the next 5 years. This has seen investors continue to roll out infrastructure to support the growing electric vehicles market in Kenya. Experts say lack of charging stations is still a major challenge in the local market, with less than 10 charging stations being located in Nairobi. However, investors are now eyeing major highways outside the capital, with Dowgate Properties opening the first charging ports along the busy Nairobi-Nakuru highway.
Electric vehicles are slowly but surely taking over our roads. The International Energy Agency projects that 60% of global car sales will be powered electrically due to the growing number of manufacturers and the rising cost of fuel. China is leading the electric car market, while the United States is trailing in a distant second position. Kenya has the third biggest electric vehicle market in Africa, where South Africa and Nigeria are the market leaders. There are an estimated 1,000 electric vehicles on the Kenyan roads, and the number is expected to reach 5,000 by 2025. Some of the companies driving the electric car revolution in Kenya are Basigo, Kiri Motors, and Opibus. However, the lack of charging stations has been a major headache for electric car owners, with most charging ports concentrated in Nairobi. But this trend is now changing, albeit slowly. Dowgate Properties has set up the first Safari Center highway service station outside Nairobi, saying a small number of charging ports is a major bottleneck for the industry. The Nairobi-Nakuru Highway Base Center's electric charging point is the first outside Nairobi City, making it possible for electric vehicles to drive from Nairobi to Kisumu and back by charging each way as they travel. The development is coming at a time when Kenya Power and Kenya Electricity Generating Company KenGen are planning to roll out hundreds of charging ports in the country as part of their revenue diversification strategy. Dowgate Properties plans to construct more charging stations along the Nairobi-Nyeri Highway, Mombasa Highway, and Langata Road. Hibak Said for Lunchtime News.
Cooking oil prices are likely to come down in the next few weeks. This follows plans by the world's biggest supplier of palm oil, Indonesia, to lift its 3-week-long palm oil export ban on Monday, 23rd. This is a welcome relief to manufacturers of cooking oil who had been forced to raise retail prices by 35% since February due to the 45% increase in the cost of importing palm oil into the country, a move that had eaten more into Wanjiku's household spending. Kitty.
Kenya mainly imports vegetable oils such as sunflower oils, soya bean, corn oil and crude palm from Malaysia and Indonesia, but dilapidated production over the last 6 months in Malaysia due to floods and labor shortages has seen Kenya resort to Indonesia's palm oil. The Russian invasion of Ukraine fueled the shortage since Ukraine, which accounts for 76% of global sunflower oil exports, has significantly cut down supplies. Palm oil comprises a third of the world's vegetable oil market, with Indonesia accounting for about 60% of the supply. The world's top palm oil exporter on April 28th halted shipments of crude palm oil and some derivative products to try and tame soaring prices of domestic cooking oil. The ban was one of the biggest acts of crop protectionism since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February and its steamed exports of sunflower oil and worsened global shortage. Palm oil is an essential commodity used in almost everything from food to soap to fuel, and the earlier move by Indonesia threatened to push up costs even more across the multiple supply chains. Locally, the ban saw local cooking oil prices increase as manufacturers of cooking oil raised retail prices of cooking oil by 35%. A litre of cooking oil retails at an average of 2,900 shillings in most retail outlets, up from 1,800 shillings a year ago, while a litre fetches 350 shillings. The prices are likely to go down in the next few weeks following the lift of the ban on palm oil exports from Indonesia. Regina Manya reporting for Lunchtime News.
Kenya is urging Rwanda to lift the ban on locally manufactured Indomie noodles. The Kenya Bureau of Standards says it has completed testing of Indomie noodles destined for exports and found them fit for human consumption. The standards body has also put on notice to bakers for failing to meet the safety standards set by the agency.
Rwanda banned Kenyan-made Indomie noodles after a contamination scare that originated from Egypt, after chilies that are used to make the noodles were found to have high levels of aflatoxin. Kenya now says Indomie destined for the export markets are safe after numerous tests, and all ingredients used to make the noodles, including chili, have been sourced locally.
The Indomie that we have locally, and it's actually even exported to the regional market, is locally produced by a company called Zalim Wazaran Kenya Limited.
KBC is also investigating some bakers in the local market for flouting safety regulations. The standardization body has cleared 80% of maize flour brands it had banned after millers complied to the set standards.
The process is very scientific and it is based on the best international practices. So as a country, I can say we are growing and the level of compliance is on a growth trajectory.
KBC places millers compliance at 90%, attributing the success rate to increased border testing and surveillance.
We've also tightened our borders, the entry point, whereby raw materials from the neighboring countries like maize, it is being tested for aflatoxin contaminants.
Manufacturers have been encouraged to make use of measurement facility at KBC to help them conform to the set standards.
Posta Corporation of Kenya has signed an agreement with Somaliland Postal Services to facilitate parcel delivery between the two entities. ICT Cabinet Secretary Joe Musheru says the partnership will explore cooperation in the areas of mutual interest in international mail processing and delivery, knowledge exchange, and innovative solutions.
The new agreement, the two postal services have agreed to work together in processing of inbound, outbound and cross-border mail and parcels. The unions also agreed to jointly set up mail and parcel sorting centers at any place for the mutual benefit of the parties. The two parties are further pledged to respect international security standards and procedures and the use of electronic data interchange systems to facilitate the overall security of the international mail and parcel transport network. Speaking during the agreement signing, ICT Cabinet Secretary Joe Musheru has said the partnership will go a long way in cementing postal services integration in the region.
We are fully behind this and we support
really there are a lot of work we've been doing on the East African community. The East African community is now larger than Europe, even in terms of population. And so neighbors, we can work together. There's no problem, because I think it's just a matter of time we can integrate. But an exciting time for us, even as Posta, to know that we can partner and be able to grow the linkages to the rest of the world.
Somaliland Deputy Ambassador to Kenya Sharmake Gele has said the cooperation offers Somaliland a gateway not only to East African countries but the rest of the world.
This will be our door gates and entry gates for our international relations and our presence and everything. We haven't been able to do that. So on behalf of millions of Somalians, I have seen this a great opportunity and a great gateway for them to connect internationally, because the postal is the lifeline of everything.
Reporting for Lunchtime News, I am Teresa Mutai.
Kenya is staring at a looming food shortage following the spread of the fall armyworm in most parts of Western and Rift Valley region. While seeking assistance from the government, farmers in Uasin Gishu and Elgeyo Marakwet counties says the pest is posing a serious threat to the country's food security, as the worm has so far invaded over 500 acres of crops in the two regions.
Simple. Farmers in most parts of Western and Rift Valley regions warn over impeding food insecurity following the invasion of farms by the fall armyworm. According to Food and Agriculture Organization, some of the counties under attack are Busia, Bungoma, Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu, and Elgeyo Marakwet counties. Trans Nzoia alone contributes about 15% of Kenya's food basket. FAO says the spread of the fall army is driving intensified pesticide use, putting human and environmental health at risk. Maize farmers in Uasin Gishu and Elgeyo Marakwet counties are in panic mode following the infestation of the pest.
Angalia ya kwamba hizi dudu zinakuja zinaangamiza mimea zetu, takriban eka karibu eka 100 na kwa hakika serikali tusaidie kabisa kwa hilo jambo.
Adams Keitani, a farmer, says they are staring at huge losses as the pest is causing severe damage to the maize fields.
Janga kwa wale wakulima ambao walipata kurudi kwa mashambani, tunaona kwamba ni hasara sana. Kulingana pia na ile matarajio ya wakulima kwa mwaka huu, tunaona mazao yatarudi kuwa ni chache sana kulingana na vile our expectations ambayo huwa tunapata kutoka kwa ile mazao yetu.
They are calling on the government to intervene and provide solutions before the situation gets out of hand as the worms are spreading fast. The farmers decried the huge expenses incurred in preparing land for planting, buying seeds and fertilizer.
8 Danish companies in the agriculture and logistics value chain have started exploring market opportunities and expanding commercial partnerships in Ghana to resolve post-harvest losses. It is estimated that more than 50% of production in selected value chains is lost through post-harvest losses and waste before the produce reaches the consumer. Here are the details of this and other stories from across the continent.
8 Danish companies will provide cold chain logistics, transport, food safety and processing, as well as storage facilities to support Ghana resolve its post-harvest losses in return for income and increase sustainable economic growth. This will help Ghana create a greener, safer and prosperous food and agricultural economy. The magnitude of food losses in Ghana, which had negative climate impacts, was also a business opportunity that could be capitalized on to turn the current loss into value. Post-harvest losses were partly due to the low investments in the cold chain and low efficiency in livestock production. Meanwhile, the Ethiopian Investment Holdings has signed an agreement with Ethiopia's Ministry of Finance and FSD Africa to establish the first stock exchange in the Horn of Africa country. The stock exchange is expected to play a pivotal role in facilitating investments in the country. It would also avail Ethiopian companies and entrepreneurs access to long-term financing options for their businesses. Upon launch, 50 Ethiopian companies are expected to list their shares on the bourse. There are currently some 29 stock exchanges scattered across the African continent. FSD Africa will take care of the technical support, FSD Africa will take care of the technical support, legal services, and the costs associated with getting the exchange started. Finally, the Tanzanian government has launched an exercise to supply free agricultural inputs to cashew nut farmers across the country. The initiative comes after President Samia Suluhu Hassan endorsed $26 million to purchase cashew inputs as incentives to farmers in cashew nut producing regions to improve production. Tanzania is one of the largest cashew nut producers in Africa, with exports providing up to 15% of the country's foreign exchange.
Deputy President William Ruto says Kenya Kwanza is focused in uniting the country. He made the remarks while in Embu when he was attending an economic forum.
Tumefanya hata ndani ya Kisumu, tumefanya hata ndani ya Migori, tumefanya hata ndani ya Homa Bay, because we believe in one country called Kenya. Hiyo mnanielewa? Na tunaketi chini na ninyi watu wa Embu leo kwa sababu we want to exit the politics of personalities and the politics of ethnicities and the politics of leaders and positions and power sharing. We want to have a conversation about ideas, about issues, about the people, about jobs, and about empowerment.
And time for us to get to Channel 1 Sports News. Everton secured their Premier League status with an incredible fight back where they came from 2 goals down to beat Crystal Palace 3-2 at Goodison Park last night. Chelsea stayed third after a 1-1 draw with Leicester at Stamford Bridge. In Spanish La Liga, Real Madrid will today play Real Betis while Rayo Vallecano play Levante.
Crystal Palace scored twice in the first half through Jean-Philippe